Hello, Cancers, and welcome to your May 2026 monthly horoscope. My name is Justyna. Welcome to my channel. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. All right, so here today we are going to look at the most important events happening in May, and I'll tell you how they will influence your rising sign, also called your ascendant sign, on a deeper level. You can also watch it for your moon sign or your sun sign, but always prioritize your rising sign in these forecasts, horoscopes on this channel. And here I follow Western astrology, tropical zodiac, so welcome. All right, so we start on a pretty intense note. We start with a full moon happening in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio is a fixed water sign, and this is happening at 11 degrees of Scorpio. So here we've got a fixed full moon as we begin this brand new month. And this is happening in your fifth house. The fifth house is associated with creativity, self-expression, children, anything to do with fun, recreation, love, and romance. So here we've got a few difficult, challenging, tricky, complex alignments. It's a very complex full moon. First of all, the moon is in its fall. The moon is in its fall in the sign of Scorpio. So it's a weak and fragile placement for the moon. But here it looks like a situation concerning your children or your romantic partner, or perhaps an important project you've been working on is reaching a peak, a turning point, maybe in terms of a project. This could be also about a completion. So here, generally with a full moon, which is connected to profound transformative energy related to rebirth in a way as well. So this could also be a turning point during this time happening in your life in regard to that creative side of your life, children, romance. But at the same time, what I actually also wanted to say is that something might come up to the surface, something that perhaps you've been delaying or avoiding, a situation, an issue. Here with the Scorpio full moon, something is coming to a point of truth. So nothing can be hidden, or it's difficult to hide anything during a full moon in Scorpio. The energy is suspicious. The energy is very transformative, mysterious as well. So here we've got very often during a full moon overall, whatever that has been kind of unclear suddenly becomes very, very clear. So basically this could manifest as a strong realization that something that you've been working on, you've been dealing with, doesn't fulfill you anymore in the same way. Now, at the same time, this could be also connected to some really emotional, strong emotional moment, intensity. Remember, during a full moon in Scorpio, our emotions are really, really intensified. And at the same time, this full moon, while it could bring a certain degree of that really deep and profound, emotionally triggering energy, at the same time, this is a time when you might also gain clarity around something that perhaps you've been trying to understand clearer. All right, so we also have a square. So this full moon, the ruler, the dispositor of this full moon, the modern one is Pluto. Pluto, the lord of depth, but also it's a really slow-moving planet. It's a wide orb, but here we've got this connection by a square with the full moon. So this is also connected to something deeper, something more profound, maybe some deeper emotional entanglements, situations. Here Pluto is in your 8th house. So this also be connected to some financial matters, financial dependencies, for example. Watch out for power dynamics during this time, especially with a square. And this energy can make you easily triggered. Now, at the same time, also at the time of this full moon, we have a conjunction between Mercury and Chiron happening at 27 degrees. So here, Chiron this year will move into Taurus just for a couple of months to give us a little taste of what it will be like when Chiron moves to Taurus permanently. But here this year, it's a little preview. So this conjunction is happening at 27 degrees, so a very late degree of Aries. And of course, this energy is happening in your 10th house. And the 10th house is connected to your public life, to your career, to your worldly achievements as well. So this conjunction brings awareness through your career, through your public life overall. And you might be questioning your path. This could be also about an important conversation that could bring a lot of clarity. And this could be also a moment when you might have these thoughts, realizations that perhaps what you're doing publicly in your career doesn't fully align with what you feel internally. So as you can see, there is tension between what you feel and what you're doing. So here, something to think about. We'll explore it further closer to the date, but on May the 3rd, we've got Mercury moving into Taurus. Just for 2 weeks, Mercury is moving at a very fast pace. This is often the case when Mercury ends its retrograde phase, and the post-shadow period as well. It starts to move at a pretty fast phase or pace. So basically here, we've got 2 weeks of this influence in your area of friendships, groups, long-term goals, and plans. So here, Mercury is the planet that is connected to your, to communication, to how you think, to your mindset overall, not just your, but in general. Mercury is associated with our mind, our thinking processes. So wherever whatever area of life it activates during its transits, this is the area of life where generally our thoughts are usually directed or redirected. So this energy makes your mind, your mindset, your attention shift toward to your future goals, to your future plans. Perhaps you might be thinking more about your goals, your objectives for the future. Maybe this energy could also make you question some of your connections, friendships, networks. This could be about reconnecting with people as well, thinking more about the direction that you're heading, especially since you've got so many energies now transiting in your 10th house. So there is so much influence happening here that it's not a surprise that you might need some time to think things through, to reflect overall. All right, so here on May the 6th, we've got Pluto stationing retrograde in the sign of Aquarius, of course. I'm just thinking at 5 degrees. So we've got this retrograde every single year. And this Pluto is a very, very slow-moving planet. And it's been here in Aquarius since 2023, initially in the first 2 years, on and off, moving between Capricorn and Aquarius. Now it is permanently establishing itself in Aquarius until early 2040s. All right, so here this says your 8th house, the house of very, very intense, deep, profound energies. And when Pluto or any planet stations retrograde, then this energy goes inward, I want to say. So it manifests internally rather than externally. The 8th house is connected to transformation, money, but also generally money that is connected to not to your income, but to some financial gains, bonuses, investments, anything to do with mortgage or anything to do with deep connections, emotional, financial entanglements overall. So this energy, this transit, this retrograde brings transformation through generally emotional connections, through dependencies, through other people, because this is the house of other people. So with the 8th house influence, support and help comes through others. This is about other people. And this retrograde, because it's going to manifest internally, it's going to make you question what and who you are connected to, who or what holds power over you, who can you rely on or what you rely on. So there's this massive shift that will be going on beneath the surface, internal transformation, also connected to healing of some really deep traumas. Remember, the 8th house is connected to depth. That's actually where I've got lots of planets in the 8th house, in Placidus house system. So it's a very, there is trauma in the 8th house, and Pluto here helps you to heal it and to touch or to perhaps go back into or deal with the complexities of life that perhaps it's not easy to approach otherwise. All right, so on the 16th, we've got a new moon in Taurus happening at, let me just double check because I don't want to give you the wrong degrees. The new moon in Taurus happening at 25 degrees of Taurus. So Taurus is a fixed sign. It's also an earth sign as well. So of course, fixed energies, which are quite dominant in the first part of May at least, they are connected to determination, lasting, sustainable energies. So here, new moons are connected to new beginnings. And with the fixed Taurus energy, this is a kind of energy that can make you feel very grounded. You can ground your idea in their reality. It's not always easy to start something completely different. And it's not a time to rush. Taurus doesn't like to rush. Taurus likes to take its time, and it's about stability. Stability is something that's essential. Being grounded in what you believe in, what you stand for. But this is connected to your friendships, to your goals, to your ambitions. And here, the day after this new moon, Mercury moves into Gemini. So at this point, Mercury is still at the very late degree of this of Taurus as well. So this could be like a redirection point. You had Mercury up here for 2 weeks. At the time when the new moon occurs, you would have already had these thoughts, ideas, perhaps about some new goals, objectives you may have for yourself, for your future. This is a new path here for you in this regard. This new moon could bring a new connection into your life through some kind of group involvement, through some kind of group participation, for example. Maybe you feel like you want to align yourself with different kind of people. And overall, this is also about new goals, new objectives for the future, new ideas. And this is about building something slowly, steadily, and gradually. It's not the kind of energy that wants to be rushed and pushed too fast. Right. So then we've got Mars entering Taurus on the 18th, and the day before, you've got Mercury. I wouldn't really mention Mercury moving into Gemini, but because it's going to be in your 12th house in the remaining part of May, this is also going to make you kind of more go within and perhaps withdraw a little bit temporarily, especially when it comes to your communication style, to your mind, and these sort of dynamics. You might be more in your head, daydreaming, and you might not want to share everything. You might need time to process things internally before you're ready to share them externally. So that's something I wanted to share with you. In case you feel like slightly distracted or withdrawn, and that would be Mercury influencing these sort of behavioral patterns. All right, so Mars moves into Taurus on May the 18th, and that's your 11th house. As you can see, you've got quite a bit of activity in May in your area, friendships and networks. So it's a good time for getting yourself out there. I know Mercury is now in your 12th house, but it's okay. It doesn't mean that you have to completely isolate. But it's a good time for reaching out, for getting yourself out there, especially here if you're looking for new opportunities, if you're looking for some partnerships, collaborations, then why not? Why not? But with Mars influencing your 11th house as of May the 18th, through to the end of May and throughout June, this is generally a great time, because imagine or think about that Mercury transit in Taurus, which occurred in these initial 2 weeks of May. And then you've got Taurus coming here on the 18th, and Mercury is already in the 12th house. So Mars will help you to push these goals, ideas that would have come up in the initial part of May. Mars motivates, Mars helps you to move forward towards reaching your goals, your networks. It's a good time for moving towards to getting yourself back on track. Mars moves fast. Mars rules Aries, and Taurus is a fixed earth sign. So the way the energy of Mars manifests in Taurus is that it's a steady kind of energy, but it shouldn't be rushed. If you rush too much, especially here in group settings or when trying to reach your goals, you might actually experience frustration because things are not going to move very, very fast. So you need to equip yourself with patience. This is about consistent and determined approach. All right, so then on the 19th, Venus enters Cancer, and this energy overall is going to take place in your first house. So beautiful, beautiful energy. Whenever Venus enters our first house, this is when we feel like we want to pamper ourselves. We have a greater need for self-care, self-love. And this is also a time when you feel more noticeable or noticed, when you feel like you're receiving more compliments, or generally just it's a really nice vibe, really nice energy, and it's easy to be friendly and more open, etc. It's like that energy of charm and attraction overall. And it's generally the kind of energy that can help you to feel like yourself. So it's a really, really pleasant transit overall. Okay, so then on May the 21st, we start Gemini season, and that's when the sun moves into Gemini. So here, that's your 12th house. So here, generally, Gemini season is a kind of season for us Cancers that it's a time when we very often feel like we want to kind of withdraw. It's not every single day, but this sort of energy can make you feel like perhaps you feel more drained than usual. You need time for rest, healing, and engaging in activities that bring comfort and tranquility. It might not always be the case, but there will be more moments like this than usual. And that's okay. That's when the sun transits the 12th house, or generally the sign that is before our sun sign. So Taurus, to Gemini season, and this is when the energy, your energy will become more internal. And with the 12th house, and of course with the 12th house, it's a really great time for prioritizing mental health, your personal well-being. It's really essential because you need some time to process things and energies, emotions, etc. A good time for engaging in activities like things that generally bring comfort or nature, amazing time for reading, studying, learning. And generally, if you give out too much and you don't keep a healthy balance between generally the energy that you give out and then the energy that you regenerate, then you might reach a point of a burnout. So that's why it's so essential to spend some time on doing things that bring comfort and tranquility, and times when you can generally recharged. But on the 22nd, the Sun and Uranus conjoin, and this is overall a really, really interesting energy. Will be happening in 12th house. So the 22nd of May, this is a day of the unexpected overall, and this energy can bring some unexpected realizations, ideas, insights. It's all manifesting, or it could be manifesting rather internally than externally. It's happening in your 12th house. It could be a day when you feel like you want to step back, withdraw. If you have a really busy day meeting filled with meetings, phone calls, Zoom calls, etc., then definitely make sure that you take breaks and you just recharge yourself, because it could be quite overwhelming. Equally, if you have nothing busy, but at the same time, try to remain flexible and adaptable, because it's adaptable, and take note of the ideas that come into your mind, because they could be quite useful at a different stage, at a later stage. Now, we end the month with a full moon in Sagittarius happening on the 31st. And this is happening at 9 degrees of Sagittarius. And this is happening in your 6th house of everyday life, anything to do with self-improvement, your health as well, your routines. A full moon often shows us here in this area of the chart what's working, what's sustainable in our daily reality, especially when it comes to our responsibilities, our routines. So this is a great time for restructuring your routine, for letting go of what doesn't serve you, of what drains your energies, what's misaligned. And if you are recovering from a healing, from a surgery or a treatment during this time, then during a full moon, this is usually a peak of the healing process. And once the full moon is over, this is when the healing tends to speed up. This is the kind of full moon that can help you to see what's sustainable, what's supportive, especially when it comes to the direction that you're heading with your life. So thank you so much, Cancers. I wish you a wonderful month ahead. And until the next time, bye for now.